Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar series on urban resilience and SDG localization. My name is Yana Antonenko, and I'll be co-hosting this session today with some of my colleagues. And this is the webinar 1 in this series. And today we are going to be presenting the e-learning course on Introduction to Urban Economic Resilience, Diagnostics, and Action Planning. Let me start by reminding you a few rules. So please keep your microphone muted during the session. And if you have any questions, you can place them in the Q&A section in the Zoom panel. And we will have a special time for addressing your questions at the end of the session. And also, if you would like to have a translation into Russian, please click on the globe icon in the Zoom panel below and switch on to the Russian channel. And I'm pleased to give floor now to my colleague, Ms. Gulnara Rol, who will also give you a welcome and give some of the context of today's session. So Gulnara, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Yana. And it is great to see many of our colleagues whom we met just 2 weeks ago in Geneva as well, at the meeting of the Committee on Urban Development, Housing and Management. Just to say that as a secretary to the Committee on Urban Development, Housing and Management at the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, the committee is doing many activities together with local and national governments on urban development, housing, informal settlements. We produce publications, thematic studies. We have fundamental documents like Geneva Charter on Sustainable Housing, Regional Action Plan, Place and Life. So all these documents are available on our website. But of course, we also know that United Nations established many very ambitious objectives, including Sustainable Development Goals, first of all. And we also know that according to the assessments, we're not really achieving all the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is why we really need your inputs. We need to work together to make sure that we achieve these goals and improve quality of life in cities, in rural communities, at a very local level. So really pleasure to speak to you today and continue working together in the coming months. So, and this was the reason why we created the online platform for trainings. And I would like to have this opportunity to thank our partners at University of Geneva, which hosting this online training platform. But also many of the contributing organizations to the trainings, including this training actually, which was this training on urban resilience was created as a result of a joint project with United Nations Habitat, with 5 regional commissions, and with the methodology of the UN Capital Development Fund. And I'm very pleased to have Dmitry Pozhedaev, who is a global advisor at UNCDF, presenting it today. So I think this project with 16 cities, with 16 pilot cities on building economic urban resilience, was a very good example of how we, worked together before, but also how we can work in the future with other cities. So we're looking very much forward for Dmitry to present today the content of the online training, and we will be happy to connect to the cities, to other cities who have not been part of the program, to discuss what kind of activities they are implementing, and maybe in the future seminars also include their presentations in these webinars. So thank you so much again for participating today, and giving back floor to Jana.
Thank you, Gulnara. I'm just going to present you briefly the agenda for today. We have already started with introducing a little bit the context and the webinar series, and also the e-learning course that we are looking at today, and the city resilience training platform, which Gulnara just mentioned, which is an e-learning platform where these courses are hosted. Then we will proceed to a short quiz, and after that, our expert Dmitry Pashidayev from UNCDF will zoom into the training modules and the urban economic recovery and resilience diagnostic and planning tool. And lastly, we will have some time for your questions and answers, and also the information about the next webinars. So like I mentioned before, this is a series of webinars. So in total, we're planning six webinars dedicated to three online courses, and also featuring some of the case studies from cities. So these courses will run between this October and March 2024. And there are two webinars per course. So today we are at webinar 1, and the course is Urban Economic Resilience Diagnostics and Action Planning. And then we will have 2 webinars dedicated to the course on formalization of informal constructions and implementing COVID-19 recovery plans for informal settlements. And lastly, we will have a course on development of SDG voluntary local reviews in the UNECE region. And also to mention that all these courses will be available in both languages, in English and Russian, and they are free of charge. And the platform where the courses are hosted is called City Resilience Training. It's an e-learning platform, and you can access it with the QR code that you can see here, or by going into this link. And this platform currently has 4 e-learning courses, and they all are going to be available in English and Russian. And these courses are online, self-paced, and free of charge. And also currently, so if you go to the platform, you will see that currently only the Urban Economic Resilience course has a version in Russian, but we will make the other courses available in Russian shortly. So let me just show you a little bit how the platform looks like. And so you can switch between the languages for the interface. And you have different sections, for example, available courses. Here you can find the Urban Resilience course. You can also filter by categories. And for example, if we choose the Russian version and go into it, then what you need to do is to enroll first the course, and then you'll be able to access the interface and see the modules that are currently available. and each module has interactive feature and a test, and also some additional readings. And we're going to show you a little bit more of how the platform looks like in a minute. So to talk about the e-learning course itself that we are looking today at. So it's a course on urban economic resilience, and it's initially aimed at helping to enhance urban economic resilience in cities, and through building knowledge on economic resilience, performance, and diagnostics, and also on developing recommended actions for recovery and rebuilding. This course is actually, as Gunnar has mentioned, is a product of a joint interagency project, which featured 7 UN, which was done by 7 UN agencies. And it gathers all the knowledge from the project in a concise way, and is aimed at imparting this knowledge with a wider audience. So some of the course objectives are to explain the students, to familiarize students with the purposes and goals of international agendas, and their linkages to urban economic resilience. Also, the main concepts of resilience and in general, and economic resilience in particular. And one of the main goals is to explain the process of data collection, analysis, diagnosis of urban economic performance in a city through the tool, which is called Diagnostic and Planning Tool, and also explain how to design actions based on the results from the diagnostics of the tool. And this course is mainly targeted at representatives of municipalities, and also experts working in urban resilience, academia, and academia working with economic resilience topics. So there are 3 modules in the course. Each of them lasts about 3 hours. And as I mentioned, they're self-paced. So the first module is general economic resilience concepts, and also the COVID-19 impact on cities, because this, as mentioned earlier, this course was part of the rapid response project to COVID-19 pandemic. So it has this mentioning of COVID-19 impact on cities, but not only that, it also has general concepts of urban economic resilience. Then the second module is explaining more about the diagnostic and planning tool, and particularly the diagnostics phase. And the last module is talking about the planning phase of the tool, and also some key global policies that cities need to take into account when designing their resilience building plans. So yeah, here's a little bit more information about each of the modules. So for example, module 1, we look at the implications of various international agendas for cities, and ways to recover in a sustainable, inclusive, and resilient way. In module 2, like I mentioned, we look into the diagnostic phase of the diagnostic and planning tool. And there are 5 dimensions of urban economic resilience that configure the DPT and the key indicators used in the tool. And actually today, later on, Dmitry Pozhdaev from UNCDF will explain more about this module and the tool indicators. And lastly, module 3 is about the economic resilience building plans and global policies that can help shape these plans. So the course is also very interactive. There are different quizzes, videos, images, and there's a voiceover for most of the slides in both English and Russian. So we try to make it as interactive as possible, so to make your learning journey more engaging and more fun. And we also have the certificates for each module. So once you're done with the module, you can access your certificate, and once you complete the course, you can also get the final module certificate. And now let me try to share with you the website demonstration. Just give me 1 second. Sorry for this delay. Just some technical okay. I think now you should be able to see the interface of the platform. This is I'm already logged inside the platform, so you need to log in and register and log in to be able to access your account, and then enroll into the courses that you're interested in. For example, this is the interface of course on urban economic resilience, and you can navigate through different modules and access the interactive lectures within each of the module. For example, we're currently in lecture 2, and as I mentioned, it's an interactive lecture. So once you click through the slides, you will be able to listen to the voiceover for each slide and click on different things, read the text and watch the videos. So I'm gonna walk you through a little bit through this module, but you will see that there is a voiceover for each slide. So I'm gonna walk, I'm not gonna stop to listen every voiceover. I'm gonna walk you rather fast through this. So this is the structure of the 3 modules. They have, each of them has a subunit on different topics.
Welcome to the module 2 of this course on building a...
So you can see they are voiced over. There's voiceover.
Before you start exploring
And there are
the 5 areas for building
different questions, different sections.
For labor markets, when a large...
And different...
Now that you are familiar with the...
clickable elements. And also...
Which of the following indicators do you think...
quizzes which can help you test your knowledge while you're learning.
After familiarizing ourselves with how to collect, how can we present the scoring result?
It also has some real case studies from the project knowledge, from the project cities. And once you're done with the learning about the module, you can access the test. And also you have a section with additional readings. And as I mentioned, after completing the test, you will have access to a module certificate. And so it works for each of the modules. And finally, you have a course completion certificate once you are you have completed the entire course. I'm also going to show you the Russian version of this course. It looks exactly the same, but it is in Russian language, and the structure is the same. And when you click on the interactive lecture, you need to give a little bit of time for it to load. Sometimes it can be a bit slower. And then it's the same interface. It also has the voiceovers. So I'm gonna show you some slides now.
Добро пожаловать на этот вводный курс по диагностике городской экономики. Чтобы помочь вам в освоении материала, курс был разделен.
As you can see, there are voiceovers for each of the...
Давайте сначала ознакомимся с синдайской...
Each of the slides, and there are interactive elements and links which can help you learn more about particular subject.
Повестка дня на период до 2030 года, сформулированная в рамках 17 целей в области устойчивого развития, была разработана, чтобы...
Different videos.
Чтобы узнать больше о влиянии пандемии COVID-19 на городские... Действия по контролю недвижимости, запрет.
And this is a part
в этом модуле мы подчеркивали важность необходимости
on COVID-19 impact on cities, and also it has some examples from project cities that were part of the building resilience project. So this is basically the interface of the platform. So we invite you to explore it and log in and take the course. And we also would like to propose you a short quiz right now, so you can see also how familiar you are with the urban resilience concepts. So I'm going to start with one of the first...
Вот еще один шанс проверить ваши знания.
One of the first questions. And we are going to launch a Zoom poll, so you can answer these questions in your screen in the Zoom. So for the first question, I know it is in Russian, but in the Zoom poll, you will also see the English translation of this question. Basically, it's a true-false question, and the statement is urban resilience is an ability of urban system to effectively react to natural disasters. Do you think that this statement is true or false? We can launch the poll and you can answer this question there. And there are also 2 more questions in the poll. You will see they are from another module. If you would like to try answering them as well, and then we can check them together. So I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes for you to read through, and then we can check them. Thank you. So I can see there are already some questions being answered. So if more people can answer them, that would be great. I think there we currently have 13 answers. Yeah, 14 answers. So let's give a little bit more time for others to answer as well. Okay, so we can check the questions together. So for example, I can see in the results for the first question, 76% says that this statement is true. So urban resilience is the ability of urban system to effectively react to natural disasters. So I'm going to use this majority to check the question here. So I'm going to choose true and check. And unfortunately, this is not the correct answer because urban resilience actually goes far beyond the mere reacting to natural disasters. It implies a more holistic and more forward-looking approach to sustainable development. So it's not just reacting to natural disasters. And also Dmitry in his second in the second part of this session will explain you a little bit more about this. And now let's check the other questions. So we can go to module 2 of this course. And the second question was as follows.
Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, cities have been
Sorry.
Before you start exploring this module, take a chance to test your knowledge. Can you tell if this statement is true or false?
So the statement, the second statement was urban economic resilience is only about ensuring the availability of financial resources in cities in times of crisis. And I can see that 95% of you have chosen false here. So let's check. Correct. So here you got, the majority of you got it right. And also Dmitry will expand more on this a bit later. And now let's go to the last question, question number 3. What are the 5 dimensions of urban economic resilience? And I can see that according to your results, economic governance is one of the major ones. Infrastructure and connectivity has 84%, financial environment as well, and then labor markets and business environment has 74. So let's check, and you got it right. So these are the 5 dimensions of the urban economic resilience. And with this, we finalize our quiz, and I'm gonna give floor to Dmitry, who will explain you more about these dimensions that we just mentioned and the concepts of urban economic resilience and the diagnostics and planning tool and its indicators. So thank you very much. And Dmitry, the floor is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yana, and welcome again, colleagues, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. So we'll take it from here, and we will speak in more details about the second module of this course. As you remember, Yana has just said it. The course consists of 3 modules, so we will focus on the second module, which deals specifically with the diagnostic and planning tool. And we will discuss in detail what the tool is about and how it can be implemented in cities. So let me share with you my screen. This is not what I wanted to share. Oh. So here we are. The second module itself consists of 3 units, as you can see. We will start with the first unit, which is about conceptual framework for urban economic resilience. And Yana has talked about it a little bit. Now we'll speak in more details. The next few slides are a bit theoretical, but before we go into that, I would like to stress that the course itself is not theoretical. It's very practical. And the final objective of the course is to come up with an urban economic resilience improvement plan, which should help your cities and other local governments, because in principle, it can be used at the regional level as well, to help you to achieve certain objectives and make your city more viable, more resilient, and more sustainable. But even if you don't travel the entire journey up to the end, up to the implementation of the Urban Economic Resilience Improvement Plan, I hope that this course and our today's discussion will help you to form a better understanding of what urban economic resilience is, and in one way or another, use it in your practical activities. So again, the course is practical rather than theoretical. But let me move to this bit of theory that is behind the diagnostic and planning tool.
Excuse me for interrupting you. We are still seeing your old screen. I don't know if you can try to reshare because we are not seeing the presentation.
Okay.
We're still seeing the website, UNECE website.
How about now?
Yes, now yes, it works. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So as Yana has mentioned, urban economic resilience is conceptualized as the capacity and capabilities And I believe that's important. We're not talking specifically about infrastructure. We're not talking specifically about money. We're not talking about some other elements, but we are talking about capacities. And these are capacities in two areas. One is plan for and anticipate, and also reallocate and mobilize resources in the context of negative shocks, including long-term stresses to city economies. Why we need it? We need it for three reasons. One is to withstand those shocks. Secondly, to recover from those shocks. And thirdly, rebuild at least to pre-crisis level. Of course, we would all wish to rebuild even better, but at least reaching the pre-crisis level is requires a certain set of capacities. And at the same time, while we are doing all this, we would like our economies, or your economies, your city economies, to continue on the path to sustainable economic growth, to strengthen your capacity to deal with any future shocks. Yana has mentioned that this methodology was developed in the context of the response to COVID-19, but it is quite universal, and it can also be used in any crisis situation, regardless of what is the original cause of that crisis, whether it is economic, it is natural disaster, it is something else, but whatever is impacting on your economy can be dealt with through this instrument that we are presenting today. So there are 5 key areas of urban economic resilience. It includes business environment, labor market, financial environment, economic governance, infrastructure, and connectivity. They're kind of self-evident. Of course, business environment is essential about the capacity of local businesses to manage their resources. Labor market is about the capacity of that market to allocate and reallocate resources and to respond to all kinds of economic stresses. Financial requirement is about money. Yes, the money is there, but not just about the quantity of money, but also how that money is applied to, in the context of a response to economic stresses. Economic governance is, of course, about the systems, mechanisms, capacities to govern it all, because business, labor, finance, they require good governance. Without it, they will not work properly. And the last one is basic infrastructure and connectivity, which is about the capacity of basic infrastructure and connectivity systems to enable and facilitate continued operations of the other 4 components. How are the key areas connected? Business environment and labor market are connected in a way that business environment essentially determines demand for labor. The more business environment is developed, the more economic activities there are, the more is the demand for labor. At the same time, the supply of labor, of course, depends on the condition of the labor market. If the labor market is underdeveloped, even if there is demand for additional labor, the labor market may not be able to respond to it adequately. Business environment and financial environment, again, are connected in a way that business environment, if it is successful, requires more financial resources, and the state of the financial requirement, of course, determines the quantity and quality of the resources that can be provided to meet the demand of the business requirement. Economic governance quite naturally regulates and determines the conditions of the labor market. It determines the conditions of the business environment as well as of the financial environment, and ultimately infrastructure and connectivity underlies all these factors, all these areas, because without infrastructure and connectivity, none of the systems, whether it is about business or about labor market or something else, cannot function properly. Let us now move to the second unit, which is about overview of urban economic resilience, diagnostic and planning tool. What are the key objectives of this tool? There are 4 key objectives. Of course, the key objective is to help cities understand the strengths or weaknesses of their institutional and operating arrangements from the perspective of economic recovery and resilience building, from the perspective of economic resilience. Yes, you have a set of all those areas, you have a set of activities, but how are they related in the context of economic resilience? The second objective is to assess the structure and functioning of city economies, to get a clear understanding of the performance of economic resilience. And we will talk about it more as to how exactly we assess the economic resilience performance at the city level. The third objective is to define a process for the design and implementation of recovery plans and strategies to address the identified gaps, accelerate better recovery, and improve longer-term resilience. This is about the resilience improvement action plans, which are the second part of this diagnostic and planning tool. And lastly, the objective is to produce some kind of a cultural change, a change in the institutional mindset, if you wish, to make cities, and we are talking about different stakeholders, not only city administrations. We are also talking about civil society organizations. We are talking about businesses. We are talking about financial institutions and so on and so forth, to make them sensitive to the aspects of urban economic resilience in city planning and budgeting, as well as in the management and operation of different components of the city economic and financial system. This is an overview of the key products of the diagnostic and planning tool. We start with the resilience diagnostic. And there are 2 major components within that exercise. One is to baseline city performance in relevant resilience areas based on a set of indicators. And the second one is to identify areas that need improvement. These 2 aspects, or these 2 components, make up the essence of the product, which is called the Economic Resilience Performance Report. And this Economic Resilience Performance Report basically tells us what is working well and what is not working well in the city or in the city economy from the perspective of urban economic resilience. But once we are done with this stage, once we are done with this product, we move to the next one, which is about resilience planning. Again, there are 2 aspects in there. One is to develop actions to achieve the desired improvements. And the second one is to identify relevant implementation arrangements to implement what you plan. This results into the economic resilience building plan, which tells all stakeholders at the city level about what needs to be improved, by how much, and how. And if I'm not mistaken, now we are supposed to have a quick question, a quick quiz. Hopefully, I'm not mistaken.
I think it's the next slide.
Is it the next one?
With the stages, yes.
With the stages. Okay, got you. Let me say a few more words about the key products. As we've just mentioned, there are two key products. One is the Economic Resilience Performance Report, and the other one is the Economic Resilience Building Plan. So what does the Economic Performance Resilience Report, what does it do? One, it documents the resilience of different components of the urban economy against a clear scoring system. Again, we will talk about the scoring system later. So you have this picture, a picture that is measurable and a picture that is presentable to other stakeholders and to other partners, because we are also talking about external partners. Secondly, it identifies weaknesses and strengths of the urban economy from a resilience perspective. And ultimately, of course, and this is very important, it provides recommendations on what can and should be done to improve the resilience of the urban economy. These recommendations are operationalized in the second product, which is the Economic Resilience Building Plan. This document or this product sets a vision and performance improvement targets for resilience indicators in alignment with other relevant strategies and plans, like a broad vision about where you want to be in terms of urban economic resilience, in terms of the resilience of your own city or your own local governments. Then it identifies the actions that would lead you. And lastly, it specifies the responsibilities, required resources, and timelines for implementation of the planned activities. There are 8 steps or 8 stages of the implementation of this tool. Resilience diagnostics starts with data collection, quite naturally. It then proceeds to data analysis and interpretation. It's not enough to collect data. It's also very important to understand what the data mean. The next stage is performance scoring. And lastly, it is drafting of the Economic Resilience Performance Report with the recommendations. And as we said, the recommendations are then spelled out or transformed into the Economic Resilience Building Plan. And it starts with a visioning and performance target setting. You formulate this broad vision, and you also set specific performance target setting. If you know that you are underperforming in a specific area, you set a target to improve your performance, and you also say by how much you want to improve it. You probably will not be able to go all the way to the best possible performance, but given the resources, given the situation, you set some manageable and reasonable targets. Next stage is action planning. You plan the actions required for the achievement of that vision. This is the essence of the Economic Resilience Building Plan. And once the Economic Resilience Building Plan is ready, it is approved, it is endorsed probably by your council or by some other relevant body within the city, you embark on the implementation, monitoring, and review. And of course, this can be a reiterative process. You know, once you have implemented your plan, you go back to it and you look at what has been achieved, at what has not been achieved, and you go again through the cycle, and you come up again with another plan and with another implementation cycle. So as Yana has mentioned, here we have a quick quiz. Here is the quiz. Let me read it out. Which stage of the diagnostic and planning tool implementation do you find the most difficult or most time-consuming in your city? Какой из этапов применения инструмента диагностики и планирования вам кажется самым сложным, трудоемким в контексте вашего города? Diana, please let me know when the results are ready.
Yes, let's give it a little bit more time.
Probably you can project the results.
Yes, I can project them once voting is over.
Shall I stop sharing?
No, it's okay. We currently have 15 responses, like 50%. So let's wait a little bit, 1 minute more, and then I can share.
Sure. Let's wait. Of course, as you realize, colleagues, there are no right or wrong questions. It's essentially about your opinion. You know your city better. You know better how the instrument can be applied in your context, and you know better what challenges you can encounter in your city or in your local government.
Okay, I think we can share the results. Now they should be visible on your screens.
Yes, indeed, I can see. So many people believe that data collection will be challenging. And you know what? You are right. The project that we've mentioned before, in the context of which this particular tool was developed, demonstrated that data collection is a significant challenge due to lack of data. And we will talk a bit more about the sources of data and how data can be collected a bit later. Data analysis and interpretation, yes, I would say it's probably even more significant than 11%. Visioning, yes, may be an issue as well. And action planning, yeah, it's not always very easy. Okay, let us move on. So what is the approach to diagnostic of urban economic resilience? It is based on a conceptual framework of urban economic resilience consisting of 5 areas. We've just discussed, we've spoken about those areas just now. Interestingly, it uses a performance assessment approach, not an index. So there is no one number, so to say, I don't know, like 59 or 78 that would attempt to present the level of urban economic resilience. It is more disaggregated. It is a bit more qualitative, and we will talk about it later. So yes, the approach also combines quantitative and qualitative measures to cover different aspects of economic resilience. It is flexible and adjustable to the local circumstances and data availability. Again, the experiences of our project that we implemented with 5 United Nations Economic Commissions, with UN Habitat, clearly shows that the instrument can be adjusted to the particular situation of the local government where it is applied, to the availability of data, to the understanding and requirements of urban economic resilience in that locality. So it is quite a flexible instrument. It is also inclusive and participatory. One of the key steps, or one of the key aspects of it, is that the instrument should not be a purely expert exercise. It should take place with the participation of different stakeholders at the city level. And this means that it should also be consensual via broad-based consensus about the city performance. And lastly, it is aspirational at the city level because it encourages ambitions at the city level. When you realize how well you perform or how poorly you perform, as may be the case, then you're motivated to do better. And this is about your future aspirations. As we said, the approach to urban economic resilience is built around the 5 areas, and those 5 areas are operationalized as resilience areas from 1 to 5. The first area is resilience of local business environment. The second is resilience of local labor market. The third area is resilience of local financial system. The fourth area is resilience of economic governance. And the fifth one is resilience of basic infrastructure and connectivity. We have already mentioned that those areas are jointly, in combination, make up or amount to a system of urban economic resilience at the city level. And we've also talked about what they mean. They mean capacities in these 5 areas. And again, mind it, the capacities are not only the capacities of city administrations. These are also capacities of other stakeholders, local businesses, financial institutions, civil society, research institutions, and academia, and so on and so forth. And as we move to the diagnostic, we analyze those capacities in each of the 5 areas that we have just mentioned. So in the 5 resilience areas, we have 16 resilience performance indicators, and we have 59 composing dimensions. Let me take resilience area 2, which is resilience of the local labor market. It includes 3 resilience performance indicators. Resilience performance indicator 1 is labor market flexibility. Resilience performance indicator 2 is labor mobility. And resilience performance indicator 3 is social protection of labor. Altogether, these 3 indicators describe the resilience of local labor market. They show how flexible the labor market is and how fast it can reallocate resources under stress. It shows how mobile the labor force is and how soon it can move geographically, as well as in terms of the employment area in the situation of a crisis. And lastly, it shows how well the labor force is protected, and it can function under the conditions of reduced economic activities and reduced income, as was the case during COVID-19, and as is likely to be the case under any other economic stress. Let me now move to the dimensions to the components of those indicators to present the complexity of the indicators themselves, as well as of the logic behind the indicators. And we'll do it using resilience area 3, resilience of local financial system, specifically the 3 resilience performance indicators. So the size and depth of the financial system. What do exactly we mean by the size and depth of the financial system? How do we measure it? We measure it by the availability of financial institutions per every 100,000 residents. We share it by the, we measure it by the share of the population with a bank account. We measure it by the percentage of adult population with a registered digital finance account. Financial performance and soundness, the second performance indicator. What we include there is the interest rate spreads, the share of non-performing loans, sectoral distribution of loans, the diversification of the lending portfolio within the financial system, as well as in the context of COVID-19, non-performing loan rates. But it's also, of course, important in the context of any other future economic crisis situation. The city fiscal space is measured through the city revenue diversity. There is an index of the city revenue diversity by the share of income inelastic revenues, by the financial flexibility and the fiscal flexibility of the city. So this gives you an idea about how the indicators are measured in practice. And just to remind, there are 59 dimensions within those indicators. Let us now move to the last unit, which is Urban Economic Resilience Performance Diagnostic. You have quite rightly mentioned that a collection of data may be a significant challenge. What are the sources of data for the data diagnostic, for the diagnostic of urban economic performance? Of course, first and foremost, these are data produced by the national statistical offices and other members of the national statistical systems based on the fundamental principles of official statistics. It is also, if there are statistical offices in your city, if there are statistical offices in your regional government, of course, you can and should indeed use the data which produced by them. Other sources of data include all kinds of administrative data produced by the municipality, regional, or central government, statistics and research by international organizations, such as the United Nations Statistics Division, European Union institutions, OECD, regional economic commissions, including the European Economic Commission, which has a wealth of data, various foundations. They may not be necessarily segregated to the level of your city, but you can use such data as a proxy to have an approximate idea about specific indicators and specific measures in your locality. You can also rely on research by non-governmental organizations, different academic institutions, different research institutions, and others. And time and resources permitting, you can also use field research, such as quick survey, expert panels, and other research activities. Quite a few of you colleagues have noted that analysis and the interpretation of data can indeed be an issue. So there are three key considerations behind this process. One is that we need to have the data disaggregated as much as possible. We are talking about disaggregation by gender, by various vulnerable groups such as migrants and refugees, slum dwellers, and so on. And the more disaggregated it, the more granular analysis you can achieve, and the more relevant the resulting analysis becomes. To analyze the underlying data is also very important. We should look at the data themselves, not just the indicators, because the indicators allow interpretation of the data at the aggregate level from different perspectives. And they can lead to different conclusions. The same data can lead to different conclusions. So this leads me to the third consideration, which is context-specific analysis. You need to look at the data in the broader context, and you should interpret them in the context of the specific shocks and the impact they produce on urban economies. Let us now move to performance scoring. So we have said that we need to rate urban economic resilience performance. How do we do it? We do it through a scale of qualitative scores ranging from A to F, where A is the best performance associated with a very strong capacity to ensure economic and financial resilience. And this is the performance of the cities that have demonstrated a superb capacity to deal with economic shocks. And then the other scores show the variation in that capacity down to F, which is basically a lack of own resilience capacity, such that without very, very substantial support from the central government, the city basically would not be able to cope with the stress. The other scores, B is just a bit below the A score. C indicates an average performance when the city's capacity to mitigate the crisis suffices to achieve low to moderate levels of impact. And D is a big performance. And F, as we have just said, is an absence of an adequate capacity. The performance can be visualized, and it is visualized through this diagram, which you can see on the screen. The diagram, the concentric circles here show the scores from A to B to C to D to F, and the points on the circles show the actual performance of the city from the perspective of economic resilience. So you can see here, I will not name the city, not to embarrass anyone, but you can see resilience performance 1.1. And this is the first resilience performance indicator for the resilience area 1 business environment, is at B level. The second performance here is at D level. The third performance is at B level as well, and so on and so forth. You can see in one diagram how your city performs against the indicators of urban economic resilience. But then again, within the, how do we assign the scores within those indicators? There is a matrix, a detailed matrix incorporated into the guidelines. There is a booklet, guidelines for urban economic resilience diagnostic and planning, which contains a matrix for each and every indicator. And say for the indicator, resilience performance indicator 4, which, as you remember, is within the functional area 3, resilience of financial system. There are three dimensions there. One is the city share of the local financial market. The best performance here, as you can see, is when the city's share of the local financial market is high, 10% or more, and F is when city doesn't have a share of the local financial market, and B, C, and D, anything in between it. City credit rating, quite natural, it starts with the highest possible credit rating at AAA or AA level, and it is at A level, and F is default or absence of credit rating. City audit performance is, again, quite straightforward. It's unqualified audit opinion over the last 3 years for the city to qualify at A level. And F level means more than one adverse opinion over the last 3 years. B, C, and D are gradations in between these two extremes. So what is the structure of the economic resilience performance report? As we said, this is a document that records the performance assessment of the city based on the analysis and interpretation of the data collected on the resilience performance indicators. The report contains the following information: an executive summary presenting the key findings and recommendations, an introduction with the background of the city and project. Well, if it is in the context of a project, if you do it in a standalone mode, so to say, then it is the background of the city. Again, from the perspective of urban economic resilience, to give an idea to particularly external stakeholders what the situation is. Then you present the findings of the diagnostic for each resilience area, disaggregated into resilience performance indicators. And the last section of it is overall economic resilience performance overview and general recommendations based on the key findings. Those recommendations, as we've said, will be operationalized and unpacked into specific actions in the second product during the second phase or second stage of the instrument, which is about urban economic resilience. And this is bringing me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. I hope it was not too boring.
Thank you so much, Dmitry. I think it was very insightful, very interesting, and I hope that our participants can delve into the tool by themselves later on. I would like to remind that Dmitry has spoken about the diagnostics phase of the tool, so it corresponds to module 2 of the course, and you can find more information which is broken down into examples, and also examples of indicators that Dmitry has mentioned. And you can find this information in the course, and you can also access the full document of diagnostics and planning tool in the course. There are links to it. And there you can find more information on the indicators that Dmitry has just shared with you. I think we can proceed to questions and answers section. So let me share my screen. So if you have any questions, please to Dmitry or regarding the course, please feel free to raise your hand and we can give you the floor. I don't know if anyone has a question right now. I think Victor.
Yeah, sorry, I'm the guy with the questions usually. So since I noted that the data collection is one of the issues that we have in the city from my point of view, what is the minimum number or minimum amount of data when you decide that you already don't need more data in order to have a reliable analysis? Is there a minimum criteria? I know it varies from city to city, it absolutely makes sense, but is there a minimum criteria that has to be met in order to be able to make a qualitative analysis of the situation? That would be my question. Is there a required minimum to be sure that your analysis is viable?
Thank you. Dmitry?
Shall I respond, or shall we take more questions?
I think you can respond for now, and then we can.
Okay, thank you so much, Victor. Well, as I said, each indicator is further disaggregated into specific components. And the instrument itself comes with a digital instrument, which automates the data entry and scoring. It is possible that, say, there are 4 dimensions within a specific indicator, and you've managed to collect data for only 2. Then the question is to what extent it is legitimate to make a conclusion and score that particular indicator. And I would say that this is not hard science, but this is rather an art. And that's why the consensual aspect of the entire diagnostic exercise is so important. As you discuss within, by the way, I haven't mentioned it, but it is important to establish in the beginning of that exercise some kind of a committee that would oversee and guide the diagnostic. So the consensus achieved in that committee would be decisive to the decision that you take. Is 2 components, 2 data sets enough to make a conclusion and to score that indicator or not? Is the missing information substantive enough to mandate not to score it? And if you feel the latter, then you just don't score. Then you just skip it. And this is what happened in reality when we worked with, was it 15 or 16 cities, Yana, when we worked in the context of the project?
16. Thank you very much, Dmitry.
Thank you so much.
Are there any other questions? Please feel free to raise your hand and we can open you the floor. I don't see any other questions. Maybe Dmitry, I had a quick question to you. If you maybe could comment on some of the experience of the project city. How long did the entire process of implementing the tool take in some cases, and maybe also, yeah, if you could give us indicative time frame for implementing the tool in the city. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jana. The short answer is it depends, and this is what the project has shown. In some cities, I'm talking about bigger cities, of course. We've had very strong statistical offices and a lot of information available. Again, I should say that the tool is not asking for some exotic data. It is data that should be one way or another available either through local statistical systems or through national statistical systems. It should be, but it's not in all cases. It means that the cities also differed in their reliance on proxy data. In some cities, the share of proxy data was small, 10%, for example. I believe, by the way, that no city was able to complete the metrics without proxy indicators. They all had to use some proxy indicators, which, emphasized the issue of the availability of statistical data at the city level. So in some cases, it was 10%, in other cases, it was probably 40%. And the time differed significantly, from 1 month to 3 months, approximately. And another thing is that, of course, the political willingness also matters a lot, where we had strong governance, where we had a strong committee overseeing this exercise. The diagnostic was completed faster, where the attention was diluted and not so much effort was dedicated, it took longer.
Thank you, Dmitry. And I think if there are no more questions, then we can just remind you that we will have a next webinar right now, tentatively in mid-November. We're currently confirming the date, and the webinar 2 will be also about urban economic resilience, and we will actually delve into practice of one of the cities, project cities, in their implementation of DPT, so I can learn more about what challenges the city faced and what was the entire their experience of the implementation, and also the further integration of the plan into city plans. So we hope that you will join us for next session. We are currently updating the information on this, as I mentioned, so please check back to this project website. And you can also keep an eye at our social media. We will be announcing the webinars there and our newsletter. And finally, we would like to ask you to undertake a quick survey when you close this Zoom. You will have a screen in the browser with these 5 quick questions. on how did you find the webinar, if it was useful, and also, more importantly, the topics that you're interested in, so we could know what kind of areas are of interest to you and design the content according to your learning needs. And finally, here you have a quick access to the e-learning platform that we saw together today, and we invite you to join the courses and hope that this webinar was useful for you. And thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you in the next sessions.